we are conscious that we have an ability, if we so choose, to complete the Golden Dome with investments and partnership. And it's something that we are looking at, and something that has been discussed at a high level, but I'm not sure one negotiates on this. These are military decisions that are then taken in that context. And we will evaluate it accordingly.
Prime Minister Mark Carney strode into the high-profile defense gathering at Meech with his chin high, pushing hard for Canada's slice of America's lucrative missile defense contracts. He pitched it as Canada finally taking sovereignty seriously. Yet the instant those demands hit the table, Donald Trump cut him down flat. No contracts, no exceptions, and absolutely no special favors on his prized Golden Dome project. At first glance, it seemed like just another policy clash, but the exchange cut far deeper. It exposed Canada's fragility and Carney's lack of leverage.
Space comm will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile defense shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. The finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and we're going to work something out with them, I hope.
And before we break it all down, don't forget to smash that like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our deep dives. What unfolded was a showdown over money, power, and defense strategy that could stretch Canada's already thin military even further. Carney strutted into Meech Lake with a scripted line about ushering in a new era, bigger defense budgets, sovereign pride, global leadership, the kind of message that looks powerful on paper and plays well on evening news clips, but none of it squared with reality. Canada's military is running on fumes. Jets can't stay operational, ships are waiting endlessly for parts, and recruitment is in free-fall young. Canadians are hiding from service, like kids hiding in their parents' basement. Everybody in Ottawa knows it, Washington knows it, and Carney knows it too. Instead of rebuilding strength at home, his solution was to buy entry into Trump's Golden Duma, defense project so huge and costly that even the Pentagon struggles to explain its full price tag. Carney tried to spin it as independence, but it was clear to anyone watching closely, Canada leaning on Washington because it lacks the muscle to stand alone. The louder he boasted about sovereignty, the more glaring Canada's weakness became.
Protect ourselves. That's part of the reason why, well, those are the reasons why we've started with the over-the-horizon radar scheme with the Arctic, which is one component of a broader protection that needs to be put in place. There are many reasons why partnering in this case, not all cases, but in this case, partnering with the Americans would make sense. We certainly do already, as you know, in NORAD, and this is a potential extension of that. But these are live, ongoing discussions, we will continue to pursue them as long as they make sense for Canada.
Now, to cover the gap, Carney pointed to his $6 billion Arctic radar partnership with Australia, hailing it as sovereignty in action and a shield for the North. As US priorities shift, nice headline, but a radar doesn't stop modern missiles. Without interceptors, it's basically an expensive warning bell. The contradiction was hard to miss. One day telling Canadians not to depend on Washington, the next still lobbying to get a seat in Trump's Golden Dome. And make no mistake, the dome is not just a contract. It's a massive defense architecture, weaving satellites, sensors, and interceptors into a missile shield costing hundreds of billions over decades. For Trump, it's a signature power play. For Carney, it's a desperate lifeline. After years of criticizing US dominance, he's now racing to secure a place at the table. The irony practically writes itself. And here's the kicker, Canada doesn't even have the money to pay. Even before the dome, Carney's government had already hiked defense spending by billions just to satisfy NATO. Adding Trump's program on top means carving money from somewhere else. But where? Carney tried to frame his push as a smart, forward-looking promise to Canadians that this was the price of security. But peel back the layers, and the truth is harsher. It's not about leadership, it's about survival. His pitch at Meech Lake sounded like independence, yet what it really revealed was dependence. Trump, however, wasn't playing along. Carney had hoped for some kind of compromise, maybe a couple of missile contracts, a handshake.
A lot about acquiring Canada as a state. Did anybody talk to you about that, and where are you now?
I think it's a much better deal from Canada, but, it's up to them. They're going to have to pay a lot of tariffs and things. They're going to have to pay a lot of money for the dome, for the Iron Dome. They want to be a part of it. We may make a separate deal on that, by the way. We discussed that, with the dome. That may be a separate deal. They want to be at $71 billion. They're going to pay.
There could be a dome thing separate from the tariff.
They'll be in the dome. Yeah, they'll be under the dome.
A quick announcement to parade back home as proof that Canada had finally earned a seat at the table. Instead, Trump went straight to the heart of it. No favors, no sweetheart deals. If Canada wanted in, it would be strictly on America's terms. Those terms weren't cheap. Then came the moment that really stung. Trump laid out the numbers in front of the cameras. $71 billion if Canada insists on staying independent, zero if it becomes America's 51st state. It wasn't just math, it was a public jab, twisting the knife at the perfect moment. It was Trump reminding the world who held the leverage and who didn't. Carney, polished speeches and all, had no comeback. He couldn't challenge the numbers. He couldn't deny the dependency. All he could do was smile and stand there. While Trump demonstrated who was really in charge, the meeting that was supposed to showcase Canada as a rising partner instead showed just how boxed in Ottawa really is. Trump turned the entire episode into a lesson in negotiations. If you walk in without power, you don't write the rules, you accept them. That reality started to hit home fast. Carney promised Canadians this would be a wise investment, a ticket to a secure future. Yet, in truth, it was shaping up to be a path to a poorer Canada. Just to approach the Golden Dome, Ottawa has already pledged another $9.3 billion on top of the billions already, committed to keep NATO allies satisfied. None of this is coming from new revenue. There's no fresh money magically appearing. It's coming out of programs Canadians actually rely on. Healthcare budgets already stretched thin. Infrastructure projects already delayed. Agencies already told to trim fat, except there's hardly any fat left to cut. And it doesn't stop there. The Golden Dome isn't a one-time payment, it's an ongoing commitment. A subscription that drains Canada year after year.
Consider Israel's Iron Dome system, the one used to fight off rocket and mortar attacks. Now imagine the technology is improved, its power, scope, and capabilities greatly expanded. U.S. President Donald Trump says that's his vision for the Golden Dome missile defense system.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space.
Trump says it will cost $175 billion and should be operational in less than 4 years by the end of his term. He claims it will protect the U.S. relying on state-of-the-art technology, including satellites, to shoot down threats by land, sea, and space.
Canada has called us and they want to be a part.
For the U.S., with its massive economy, absorbing those costs is possible. For Canada, it's suffocating. Carney tried to brand it as leadership, a price worth paying. But let's be honest, ordinary Canadians will be the ones footing the bill. Families already burdened by rising costs. Workers wondering why billions are flowing into an American missile shield while their paychecks stagnate. Citizens seeing their public services cut back while their government funnels cash south. Carney won't say it out loud, but the truth is stark. This path weakens Canada. It weakens its economy. It weakens its independence. And at the same time, it hands control directly to Washington. Because here's the catch. Once Canada buys into the Golden Dome, it isn't just writing a check, it's signing away control. When the system is active, when radars pick up a threat, who makes the decision to launch interceptors? Not Ottawa. The call will always come from the Pentagon. Canada will simply be along for the ride, hoping its interests align with Washington's choices. And if the US decides to flex against Beijing or Moscow, Canada gets dragged in automatically, whether it's ready or not. Carney sold this move as sovereignty. But ask yourself, What kind of sovereignty is it when your nation's defense depends entirely on someone else's trigger finger? It's not independence. It's surrender dressed up as partnership. The more Canada plugs into the dome, the less independent its military becomes. The supposed European option Carney floated, it doesn't exist. No alliance on that continent can match the scale of America's system, which means Canada isn't choosing between equals, it's cornered. Either submit to US dominance or admit it can't defend itself. And that's why critics are already calling this the unraveling of Canada's defense posture. What looked like one tough meeting at Meech Lake has snowballed into something much bigger, a collapse, piece by piece, of Canada's military credibility. Every time Carney pushes this deal, the imbalance becomes clearer. Canada isn't gaining strength, it's losing it. So, let's be clear about what went down. Carney walked in, hoping to prove Canada had weight on the global stage. Trump turned it into a reality check, showing who sets the terms and who just takes them. For Canadians, the consequences are huge. Higher costs, weaker services at home, less control abroad, and a defense future chained to Washington's decisions. And that's where we'll leave it today. Here at Zone Media Network, if you value clear-eyed analysis without the spin, make sure you smash that like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe. Together, we'll keep holding leaders accountable and breaking down the stories that matter. Don't miss what's coming next, because the conversations only get bigger from here.